What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. My name is Matt Farah, and before we get to the program, y'all got to know about Off the Record, which I'm sure you already do because you listen to every single episode that we put out, and if you don't, you should. Off the Record is our sponsor. They are awesome. I love Off the Record, and so many of you do too. Leave a comment if Off the Record has saved your backside on this program, because they have saved mine many, many times. Here's the scenario. You are minding your business on the freeway, and there is a police officer who pulls you over for whatever. You then get a ticket. Don't argue with the officer. Fight it out in court with Off the Record. Take that ticket, say, thank you, sir, go on your way, and then call Off the Record. They will assign an attorney in the jurisdiction where you got pulled over to fight that case, and most of the time, they is getting them points off your record, and if they don't, you don't pay. It's like that. It's great. I love Off the Record. You love Off the Record. And the way you use Off the Record is go to offtherecord.com/TST. That's offtherecord.com/TST. That'll get you 10% off all legal services from Off the Record. And just keep that one handy because sooner or later you are going to need it. Just trust me on that. All right, on today's show, we review the Volkswagen ID Buzz. Texas codifies K-cars, making them fully titleable and legal. We talk about most and least successful attempts to revive nostalgia, and we go through a Patreon poll of what we could do with ourselves and our audience instead of making videos. It's the Smoking Tire Podcast. Let's go. Oh,
I look like a
fucking spinal goddamn bullshit.
As I keep saying, stupid human body, which is also like an absolute marvel of evolution. But
yeah, and I was listening to a podcast, listening to Behind the Bastards about Robert Maxwell. Shout out to Robert Evans, not Robert Maxwell, Robert Evans. And Behind the Bastards is an excellent podcast. I'd love to get Robert Evans on this podcast if we could. He was at Cracked. We talked about this, and
sure.
Cracked is one of those sites that like 15 years ago was amazing. When I went cross country, I know the day I learned about Cracked. When I went cross country with Alex Roy in the Polizei M5, he was like, "Do you read Cracked?" This was like 2006, and I was like, "No, what's that?" And he just starts reading me shit. It was like so fucking funny.
Yeah.
And then it was sold to private equity and gutted, and that's why it's shit now. But everyone from that original team is like doing rock star shit at other levels. So like Behind the Bastards and Cody Johnston of Some More News, which, by the way, today's Some More News is about why car insurance and the cost of car ownership is such a scam.
Oh, wow.
I can't fucking wait.
Wow. I feel like they've sped up their production lately. It seems like they're cranking out more stuff.
Because they're now doing what we did 7 years ago and doing a podcast on the same YouTube channel.
That's why.
Should send him an email and tell them not to do that. It's not going to work out for them.
Yeah.
Even though I like their podcast, actually. It's like a pretty good podcast, but
if it's a huge departure from what they're known for.
It's exactly the fucking thing we did in 2017. Someone knows Cody's direct email. Please fucking hit me up, because I did send him a message on Instagram and was not responded to.
Yeah, or if you're listening, Cody.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? I wanted to write for Cracked when it was a thing, and I just didn't know. And I didn't put in any legwork to like figure out how to do that. Like, I was reading it, and I think I cold emailed someone, and I was like, "Oh man, it's like an actual humor website! Like, what an amazing invention!" But that was the end of that.
Gawker was the other one. I mean, all of the Gawker, the original Gawker properties, all of them like spawned people's careers that went on to like write and do other like really good stuff too. Yeah. Before being fucked over, exactly the same thing.
By Hulk Hogan's penis, basically.
By Peter Thiel and Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Which is if you want to talk about an episode of Behind the Bastards that is a must listen and goes into detail about that, is the Peter Thiel one.
Oh, boy.
Because it's all about Curtis Yarvin and that insane
philosopher.
Yeah. And it's just, and then now you start reading, you listen to that 2 years ago and you start reading about Curtis Yarvin. Now you're like, shit!
It's too real. Not like
fuck.
I like the Behind the Bastards when it's like this person who's 85 and did something 40 years ago.
It's Vlad the Impaler.
Well, it's like watching I don't know, those biopics on Jeffrey Dahmer or something, which I'm not into, but I understand because people. I keep talking to Sarah about this, like why it seems like women are more drawn to the serial killer podcast content, and I say that anecdotally only because
Hannah likes the true crime.
The only people I hear talking about it are female friends. I don't hear any dude friends being like, you know what I watched and I loved, and I wonder if it's like there's closure, so there's safety. Like, Dahmer is in jail and the case is solved. It's not an unsolved mystery and they're out there.
So Hannah does not listen to podcasts like I listen to podcasts fucking at all. And it really makes me all the time consider that other people listen to podcasts the way that she does rather than I do. There's about 4 or 5 podcasts that I listen to, and I listen to almost all of their episodes. And they're like almost always about terrible people from history, or it's Tom and Bert. That's pretty much all of the podcasts that I listen to. There's the Dollop, whatever. There's 4 or 5, and I listen to all the episodes. And I'm in the car and traveling enough that is actually like the right amount of content. Hannah, it subscribes to no podcasts, but using like browse features seeks out like random podcasts about topical things, and some of them are serialized and most of them are individual capsulized episodes. And she does return to a couple of the same ones here and there, but she'll literally like on the fly be like, oh, here's one about this city in Oklahoma where everybody collects dollhouses, or whatever the fuck. And while not listening to any podcasts that are like ours. Right.
Yeah. I gotcha. She doesn't follow a show. She seeks out topics.
Yeah. And some shorter form and non-committal, one might say. I'll have to ask her about the site. I've never actually, I know she's done this, but I've never asked her about like what the psychology might be of that and if it somehow relates to why more women like murder mystery podcasts?
I don't know.
Hannah also listens at 1.25.
We do that sometimes. Yeah, there's some people where if you turn it up a little bit, it doesn't really change the tone of their voice. Yeah. But we want to get going.
Yeah.
We want the information.
For sure. And there's definitely podcasts that, like recipe articles draw out things that don't need to be drawn out, or fucking Netflix for that matter. I mean, every 4-parter on Netflix is really a 1.5-parter, if not a 90-minute movie, tops.
And there was also a style of podcasting that seemed to have emerged from like certain networks where there's a way they talk. Yeah. So, John Samuels was born
like the
in a small
NPR
town.
shit.
Right. Yeah. It's that. And I go, all right, let's go 1.25 here. Yeah. Let's hear what John has to say.
Yeah. In fairness, I like listening to live Pearl Jam, because they play all their songs about 5% faster.
Really?
Yeah. Especially if you really want to get nerdy, the period of about 2000 to 2010, the really heavy live period of Pearl Jam, where they were doing 3.5-hour sets and fucking 80 city tours, like just crushing on the road, giant stadiums. You can get all the bootlegs. I have like so many of these bootlegs. But the live versions of their early songs, when played at like 1.05, fucking perfect.
I play them at 5x.
You can't go back. I can't go listen to like the studio versions of 10 songs now. They feel too slow.
I wonder if they consciously did that to up the energy at a show, or they just were energized by being in front of huge audiences and everyone was amped. Like the whole band is like heart flutter stuff, and so drummer just starts playing a little too fast, and the guitar starts, all right, I got to keep up with the drummer, and blah, 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 blah.
Well, think of the energy of, they don't change the tone throughout the song, but like that's like amateur band shit.
No.
But
it's from the moment they sit down.
Oh yeah,
like
maybe
he's playing at whatever, instead of 70 beats per minute, it's 75 because of the energy.
Could be, but they've done it consistently for the last 25 years I've been seeing them live, so it's not like a fluke.
Gotcha.
At this point, it's just like what they do. But think about, particularly, this is so Pearl Jam nerdy, but the 10 album was their first album. Like, it's not like they've never played a live show.
That wasn't the 10th?
Is that a joke?
Kind of, but also.
No, 10 is Pearl Jam's first album,
All right.
91. It's called 10 because it was Mookie Blaylock's number. Pearl Jam's original band name was Mookie Blaylock until Mookie Blaylock found out about it, and they couldn't use the name anymore, so they called the album 10 instead.
Okay, and
Mookie
10
Blaylock was a
Blaylock
basketball player.
Oh.
He was a basketball player.
There we go.
That's a
All
person. Right. They used his name as their
and
band name.
And his jersey number was 10.
Correct.
Now I understand.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
I needed to go a couple layers
I had to open
further
the box.
there. Yeah.
And then the box, yeah.
Right. But their first album, they never, they didn't have that energy yet.
Okay.
Right? That came from probably being successful at their first album, maybe. Okay. Hi, everybody. Fucking somewhere there's cars in there. I don't know where.
They use cars to get to the shows.
They each have their own tour buses now.
Each band member?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
On the road? Yeah, because they have families and stuff. And,
Yeah.
if you're pimping like that, why would you not have your own tour bus? Who shares a tour bus? They're almost 60.
Yeah, that's a good point. They make their own meal
If you and I
ways.
were worth $100 million, are we sharing a tour bus? No, we're each getting our own. We're parking them next to each other
get your own master
and putting
bedroom.
a little fire pit in between them.
Yeah.
Which is probably what they do.
Yeah.
I've seen the buses when you go, you go see them. It's like, they all look the same. They're dope.
Well, it's like the president moves. That's how you don't know where Vedder is.
Did you go in that bus? We went in the bus at 10/10ths, right?
Jeez.
3.5. That bus was 3.5 million.
That was crazy.
That's
It was
heavy.
nice. I mean, it was
really
very,
nice.
very nice.
Really
Lots of
nice.
crazy technology, like the slide out cabinetry underneath and granite this and that, and it was wild.
It was quite luxurious. Yeah.
I also could see how the depreciation happens on those because some of the materials inside were very nice for being in a bus, legit, and some of them look like RV stuff because they have to be lightweight to a degree, for the thing to be able to move. So you look at that and you go, that's not going to age great in 5 years,
And it's like a $3.5 million RV is like a $700,000 house. It's not like a $3 million house on a bus. It's like the other way around.
I was curious. I just looked up used Prevost prices. I don't know what the spec is of these, but a big Prevost that looks like the one we were in. This is a 2022. Is for sale for 1.7.
Okay, so 50% depreciation in 3 years.
Yeah. That's what I was expecting.
Give or take, yeah. So like an AMG.
Kind of, yeah. You know what? That's
Woo!
true.
You got to be rich.
But this one you can make popcorn in.
You got to be rich to be rolling in one of those. Is it nice?
Or Clarence Thomas.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they look like. Yeah, Prevost Emerald H345, 1.7 million. Can we get an interior shot here, please?
To drive it.
Isn't that crazy?
just hop in and go. No interior shots.
Yeah, of course there's going to be interior shots. It's got some of those. It's got a big pop-up 80-inch that comes out of the side, so you can. Yeah, a lot of these they have those slide-out kitchens. The outdoor kitchons that roll out on the drawers and stuff.
This is just
big TV on the outside.
TV on the outside of the
Love
bus.
it.
All right.
Okay, inside it's quilted leather. Whoa, like marble on the floor here.
Well, I think it's a marble-looking rug.
Oh, that's a rug. Oh shit!
And then
yeah,
here we have
wood.
the fake wood floor.
Yeah, lots of LED lighting.
So much.
I mean, look, it does look nice.
Yeah.
And it actually looks just as nice as the one that we were on for double the money.
It does. So this is a pretty accurate. Look at it. You got these.
Yeah. Those chairs are the stressless chairs from Relax the Back. I know because I had one of those. Remember, that was like my chair for 10 years.
Those are great.
Yeah. All right. So, it's sick. Obviously, it's sick. We're talking about a $1.7 million RV. It's pretty sick. But that is a 50% depreciated, give or take, RV. Yeah. You have to talk about money for the algorithm, you guys. You have to.
It's just a wild
It's very important you start the show by talking about money. And
the highly relatable $3.5 million RV.
I mean, look, my guess is Pearl Jam's RVs are a business expense.
Oh, of course. Yeah,
Straight
of
up.
course.
There's probably some advantage to that. Cool. So there are actually a couple of things to talk about. We drove the Id Buzz. So we can talk about the Id Buzz. I don't know what the SEO is on Id Buzz. I haven't put any pictures of it on Instagram yet. I was going to do a Instagram review, but
Okay.
I'll have pictures up by the time this podcast airs for everybody else. The IdBuzz is look, by van standards, it's pretty rad.
Yeah.
By the standards of some other things, it's maybe lacking. There's really a lot to like. Like, even though I don't particularly like it dynamically, there's a lot to like about it just from a charm vibe. It looks fabulous, especially in the bright colors. Pretty much all the bright colors. I don't really give a shit which one. I would like to see some really good colors that people come up with in like wraps or custom paint. I don't know if they're doing paint to sample on these, but I hope they are. That would be very sick. There's people that were like slightly aghast that it's $70,000, but I have to say it absolutely feels like every bit of a $70,000 vehicle. If a Rivian is a $70,000 vehicle, which it absolutely is, then this is a $70,000 vehicle. That's about the level of quality I see is between this and Rivian.
I'd say it's pretty nice. Most of the touch points are nice. There's some hard plastic here and there, which I expected from Volkswagen on the doors.
Yeah.
There are more USB ports in this thing than I think I've seen in any other car.
There's a lot.
Like every passenger has their own, including front right passenger. Like there's one in the little like door nook, and then there's also ones in front of you. So there's kind of tech all over the place.
You know what I like a lot about it is it really feels like a van for transporting adults. It doesn't feel like necessarily something for running little kids around. I mean, you certainly could, but I can fit in the third row comfortably. Like I've almost never been in a van where I can fit in the third row comfortably, and I can in this.
Wow.
The inside, I mean, the second and third row is pretty much the same as the Volkswagen European vans that we've been riding around in on press launches for the last couple of years. I mean, it's restyled a little bit, but like they haven't reinvented the van.
No.
But like this is like, oh my God, $70,000. It's a luxury van. Like the materials, especially in the front two seats.
Well, we have massaging seats, heated, cooled seats,
electrochromic roof.
And a huge electrochromic roof. It's 5 times longer than the one in the McLaren.
Yeah,
it's the entire roof is electrochromic, which is pretty incredible. It's got radar cruise, like it has all the technology that you would expect in a modern vehicle.
It has a good stereo.
Oh, I didn't actually.
It has a pretty good stereo.
Oh, wow.
I think it's Bowers and Wilkins. I'll make sure I get that right on Instagram. But it does sound nice.
I would say the items it comes with add up to $70,000.
It has really good storage solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Like that trunk, I really like the trunk with the folding shelf and the bins.
Yep.
That is fabulous. And all 3 rows have really good leg room and headroom for tall people. Like you want to transport 6-footers, you can do that in this thing. Mm-hmm. But also the sort of visual that they're trying to make it look like a throwback to the original transporter, Volkswagen microbus. It's basically what they did in the 90s with that Beetle compared to the original Beetle. They put the engine in the other. It became a front-wheel drive, like golf-based car.
Yeah.
But they still had to have it do that throwback style. I actually think they did it more successfully with the Beetle than they did it here. You can't do a cab over now, and so it's trying to be this cab over, but the driver's head is like pretty far back from the front axle and really far back from the front bumper, and
several feet behind the front axle, I would say. Yeah,
like if you could just put regular like Chrysler Pacifica minivan bodywork on this and it would fit.
Yeah, exactly. The proportions of it, when you look at the profile and you kind of see through the visual trickery of the paint, you go, oh, it actually looks like a front-engine minivan. There could be a front engine, an engine up front.
Yeah, or a cab over axle is actually what we really, even though because in the original the engine would be in the back.
Yeah.
But it could be a cab over axle, which it's clearly not. Having said that, one of the things I put in the good column is the novelty of feeling like you're driving a monorail.
You feel like you're at the front of a train.
Yeah.
The wraparound glass helps with that.
Yeah.
Sure.
But like it's a quirk. It's not for everybody, but it is, I'm at the end of the fucking car rainbow here. I've seen everything. the level of...
You ran out of drugs and you're like, I want to drive a monorail. And they're like, all right, we can make
I'm taking delivery of a thing with an airplane engine in it. I'm out of options here.
You are very close to reaching Sultan of Brunei, where you're like, build me a Ram truck that's the size of a building.
Ram Moose. It's Ram Moose.
Well, I meant the one that has the apartment in it. Like that's
power wagon.
Now this is how you get there.
Yeah,
is access.
Yeah. Folks, we got to take a quick break for today's sponsor, HelloFresh. Yo, the summer is here, and that means fresh air, sunshine, and good food with your friends. And HelloFresh makes it easier to fit quick, home-cooked meals into your schedule each week by curating delicious recipes like pasta primavera, chicken Dijon, and pecan-crusted trout, as well as over 100 seasonal snacks, sides, and treats. They've offered even more for 2025, every possible lifestyle. We've got ready-made meals with chef-crafted flavorful dishes that are ready in just 3 minutes, so you can dig in and get outside, get work done, or get some me time. And every HelloFresh meal uses high-quality ingredients, including seasonal fresh produce and proteins that travel from the farm to your doorstep. I personally like HelloFresh because I like to cook, right? I like the cooking part of cooking. I don't like the shopping part, and I really don't like the figuring out what to make that's going to be easy and quick and delicious, but also isn't something I've made a million times. I love that my HelloFresh shows up with recipes that I've chosen off the website, but are maybe not things that I would actively choose out of recipe books to make. But I know because it's easy, because the ingredients are coming perfectly proportioned, because it's going to taste great at the end, that I'm happy to get it from HelloFresh. So you can fit great meals that fit your spring schedule and make the season even more delicious if you go to hellofresh.com/smokingtire10FM. Man, they are really getting complex with these codes. Write it down, folks. hellofresh.com/smokingtire10FM. And that stands for 10 free meals with a free item for life. One per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as a discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. hellofresh.com/smokingtire10FM. And we're also brought to you today by Cremo. Loving this Cremo because I have been trying to be a good husband to my wife and doing morning workouts. That's right. Normally, I'm an afternoon workout guy, but I have been hitting the gym before work and going to Legree class with my wife. And the exercise is good, but coming to work after is problematic. Also, if I'm up on the mountain all morning filming, it is hot up there now, and there is some potential for stank. And Cremo is here to solve this, providing men with 48-hour odor protection. Cremo products are all barber grade, made with pride, professionalism, and passion to guarantee you quality without compromise. I'm using the Italian Bergamont this week. It is delicious. The skin is great. My body smells great, and my wife likes it too. With their deodorant, it's awesome. Cremo's got that enhanced multi-layered scent technology for a longer-lasting experience so you can apply it once and enjoy how you smell all day. But deodorant isn't just for smelling good and avoiding sweat. The scent you choose sets the tone of how you present yourself, and Cremo helps men make an unforgettable impression every time. This stuff smells nice, guys. It does. I really like it. It's natural. It makes me smell manly. And it does keep me from sweating through my clothes when I go to work after the gym. Yep. And Cremo has got other stuff, too. A wide range of other grooming products for men, including shaving cream, beard oil, and shampoo, so you can find your favorite scent and buy the whole body care line. Head over to Target or Target.com to find Cremo's new line of antiperspirants and deodorants in the Italian Bergamont and Palo Santo scents. Once again, look for Cremo at Target or Target.com. And now, back to the program. So the novelty of feeling like you're driving a monorail or a train, I can't think of any other car that feels like driving a monorail. And if that seems like if you're a real Disney monorail person, you go, I want to feel like I'm driving a fucking monorail, this is your car. It's here.
I feel like that market is either infinitesimally smaller than you imagine or way bigger than I imagine?
Way bigger than you imagine.
If anyone who's watching or listening has wanted to drive a monorail, please put it in the comments.
Disney freaks outnumber car freaks.
Sure.
Maybe not Disney monorail freaks.
That's what I'm talking about.
But still,
right.
There's enough of a crossover of like hippie boomers and fucking monorail freaks. That is a niche market.
To your point, the only time I went to Disneyland when I was 7, I remember being on the monorail vividly. So I was like,
Me
this
too.
Is an interesting form of
I
transportation.
demanded we stay at that hotel. I believe it's called the Contemporary, where the monorail goes through the middle of the hotel. It's like almost like a pyramid shaped hotel, and the monorail goes right fucking in, and you're there having that unlimited pancake ass buffet, and it's like, I was obsessed with that shit. I didn't give a fuck about Mickey Mouse. I was like, oh my god, monorail. I just wanted to watch that all day.
You were a huge fan of public transportation, even as a young man. You're like, give me a go-kart and an electric monorail.
Dude, listen, Walt Disney may have had some incredibly problematic views, but his views on transit were bang the fuck on. He wanted all of Los Angeles to look like Disney World, where you'd park on the outside and you'd walk and you have a transit system. Like there's, what was it? Shit. Whose fucking podcast was it? Where was it? What book did I read it in? God, it must have been one of the parking books. I gotta go find it. The chapter about Walt Disney and it was fascinating stuff. He obviously, if you're black or Jewish, Walt Disney is like not your guy. And highly problematic individual. But I mean,
sure enough, show how.
On the area of transit, the man was a visionary. And actually, when he died, fucking all of it just got steamrolled right over. If he lived maybe 15 or 20 years longer, it would have made a big difference in public transit.
Well, he would have had to fight Firestone and Shell and all them, right?
But he was Walt Disney.
True.
Walt Disney's, that's fucking heavy.
Well, he would have the children. They would support him. The young voter would grow up with him, and then he'd go, by the way, please vote for this monorail system.
Public transit. You want monorails? We'll show you monorails. So, wait, IdBuzz.
Big Tire wants to separate us.
Back to IdBuzz. Okay, I wrote a good bad list. Good. I really like the looks. I love the vibe. It's very comfortable. The storage solutions are great. And although the steering isn't much connected, it is very precise. I thought the steering for a van was pretty good. Mm-hmm. And in the wind buffeting, dude, we have to talk about the wind buffeting. This is such a...
Let's finish good things first, and then we'll go. Is that the end of your list?
The last thing on the list is it feels like driving a monorail. So I actually did, first part last.
Okay, I every time I got in it, I just felt like in a good mood, and I think part of it is the brightness,
that's the vibe.
Huge greenhouse, the color selection of the interior. Ours was like a cream and a almost not tangerine. What is that? What is the ice cream?
Sherbet?
Yeah, like an orange sherbet color,
yeah.
And it was just friendly and airy. And once you get going, it's a wonderful thing to drive. It's pretty quiet, despite the size of it. Like wind noise is not bad with the windows closed.
With the windows closed.
Now, one of the prices you pay for having all this legroom, this thing is humongous.
Yeah.
Like parking it. It's got to be. I feel like it's longer than an R1S. I'll look it up in a second. But it's a wide vehicle and a long vehicle.
It's not longer than an S. Oh, an S?
R1S.
The S? It might be, but it doesn't. It also doesn't have rear steer.
Right.
R1S has rear steer, and so it's able to have a very tight turning radius. This doesn't have rear steer, and the wheels are pushed out to the corners of the body. So yeah, the turning radius stinks. In Europe they do a shorter wheelbase. This would be the only one we get here is the longer wheelbase.
And
Europe.
So this is 195. So it's actually 5 inches shorter than an R1S. So yeah, it just feels longer because of the lack of rear steer.
I bet look up the wheelbase versus the R1S. I bet it's longer, and I bet the lack of rear steer would certainly make a difference in the tight turning radius.
All right, R1S wheelbase is 121, and
IdBuzz
is 129.
See?
You are right. Yeah, 8 inches.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, so there are a couple of bad things. The ride, you know what the ride reminds me of? You know how, speaking of Rivians, you know how the R1T rode perfectly and then the R1S was a little off because they clearly had developed everything for the T and then just made it shorter and it wasn't quite right? Speaking of Rivian, you know how they started with the R1T and then they went to the R1S and they shortened it, which is better for a lot of reasons. But something was always kind of off with the suspension. It never quite rode as well. It was sort of seemed like maybe the whole setup was like matched for the longer wheelbase. And it got like a little better over time, but it still isn't like quite right. I feel like the ID Buzz is maybe a little the same. Like maybe if you got the shorter wheelbase one, like available in Europe, the ride might be a little better. But something about the ride in this, it's like a little off. Like the way it sort of like bounces and moves a little bit. It's like a not. It could be because the wheels are just so far out to the corners, and it's also a big vehicle.
I thought it rode fine, personally.
I think it rides fine in some situations, and it rides weird in others. It has like weird movements over like turning into like, for instance, like, you know, when you turn into my street to go up the hill, that transition is like real like wobbly, like that like left, you know, a hard rock back and forth.
Okay.
Like a lot of those transitions are like a pretty hard movement back and forth. And I also, in the city, was getting some of these sort of like wave-like bounces. I don't know.
I felt like maybe I just didn't drive the same roads, but I felt like over, you know, the big bumps on 405, the little things around here, it muted it all pretty well. And it seemed like a one-and-done damper. You know, I didn't feel like there were secondary bounces happening.
No, that's true.
So I thought it doesn't feel like a cheap ride, which I was glad.
No,
you know,
it's not unrefined.
Felt sophisticated enough.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is Phantom shit. I don't know. Certainly, those transitions are a big like vertical.
Sure,
wobble.
I mean you're also sitting up higher,
Yeah.
So maybe it's a little bit of like, you know, not the pendulum, like the lever, because you're at the top.
Yeah.
Versus, I don't know. We have to look up the seating height of this versus like R1S.
I mean, but like compared to my Delica, which is actually closer to an original Volkswagen than this is, those things are much better in the Delica. With a shorter wheelbase and a cab over, but also squishy off-road tires. This has big, like, whatever, 21s or whatever those are. It wouldn't keep me from buying it. Let's just say that. But it was like a criticism of it dynamically where I'll tell you what, when you put it in one pedal drive mode, which I like to in this car, it was enough where it made my foot bounce, which then also made it jerkier, which created a sort of perpetual cycle of bouncy jerky.
Okay.
So the one pedal drive was tuned a little too sensitive to be paired with this suspension. I tried it shoes and I tried it barefoot. And in both cases, the bounces made my foot do that, and it made the car jerk.
Sure. If the throttle is too sensitive, especially on a one, I mean, it's like the Jaguar Sport problem from back in the day. But yeah, that can create this perpetuating cycle, of just like on off, on off, on off.
Yeah, exactly. So it wouldn't keep me from buying the car, but like I wish they would numb that down just a little bit. The brakes are legitimately not good.
Yeah,
they're just not good. I don't know if something has happened to this vehicle that the brakes would for some reason be smoked in an ID Buzz.
Maybe every journalist took it to the canyons like we did. We were using it as like a film vehicle, not to canyon test it, but it feels under braked.
It does.
For the mass or whatever. And considering so many EVs tend to have fantastic braking because they use the regen pretty aggressively.
Yeah.
It's weird to be in one where you go, well, I'm assuming it's using regen and caliper, or maybe it's not using both, but like it slows down at a rate that is surprising. Yeah, it's heavy, but they're all heavy.
I haven't done a full bore panic stop yet. Maybe I'll do that today. I'll try that. And maybe it's like you just have to get to the floorboard before. I haven't tried that. I don't know. Most people wouldn't just do that, but it doesn't matter. I will say at 2/3 to 3/4 of full pedal pressure, I am surprised at how ineffective the brakes are.
Yeah.
And I think Volkswagen knows, because when we use radar cruise control, the following distances are very conservative.
Yeah.
I had it on follow at the closest level, and it was a huge gap compared to what my Taycan would follow in the same setting. And my Taycan has the base brakes. I don't have ceramics or any of that shit. I have like regular ass.
Or the Mustang Mach-E would follow much closer. And this has 5 or 6 levels of proximity adjustment, whereas most cars have 4.
Yeah.
So I would have thought that they would use that so you could space it out more specifically. But even with the closest one, it was like other cars 2 or 3, setting of 2 or 3.
And we have never driven it with more than 2 people in it. Mm-hmm. And so I can't imagine the difference if you've got 6. If you've got 6, the brakes aren't going to be any better.
Oh, yeah. Right. I think following distance.
Yeah,
yes,
we just talked about gross vehicle weight. If you've got an extra 800 pounds in this thing, that's not going to get better.
Yeah.
That one, the brakes wouldn't necessarily keep me from buying the car, but it is a little concerning. I wouldn't want a car. Actually, that might keep me from buying the car. The brakes.
No, you know what would keep you from buying this car? We didn't even hit it.
Yeah, there's one. The last thing that would there's a 100% deal breaker that we're going to get to in a second.
Okay.
Would it keep me from buying the car? Probably. Would it keep me from recommending it to my mother if she wanted to run around Connecticut in one out of nostalgia? Probably not. I feel like my mother's following distance is sufficient to not push the brakes.
It wouldn't keep me from recommending this car to people because I think most people just make do and they'll put more foot in the pedal or whatever.
Yeah.
Unless you do a panic stop later and then it seems like it's under braked. Then I would be more concerned.
I tried to get my mother and my sister out of their first-gen Toyota Highlanders because they literally didn't have enough brakes. You could press the brake pedal to the floorboard in my sister's car and not activate ABS. And they took it to the dealer a couple times and they said it was within spec. And I was like, I'm not driving that and you shouldn't fucking drive it either.
Wow.
It was crazy. And we had 2 of them. What year
cars did they have?
It was whatever the first gen Toyota Highlander was.
In 2018, they had a recall for the brake vacuum pump.
This was way before that. This would have been like 2004 or something.
All right.
Yeah. Because I would have been, it would have been like 04.
Okay.
Yeah. Or maybe 02, like whatever the earliest Highlanders were. They were fucking garbage. I mean, I couldn't believe it. They were based on the RX 300, which is like one of the greatest cars ever made.
But was it same chassis and everything?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The Highlander went the other way from the RX 300, the same way that the Camry to the ES is the other way to the Highlander. You know what I mean?
Oh, the fanciness went down.
Yeah.
But then the Highlander has grown since then, I think. It's
right. So now the Highlander, to go up from the Highlander, is not an RX, it's the TX. My dad just bought one. He got rid of his Highlander. Didn't I talk about that?
Yeah.
Shout out to that Lexus dealer.
Yeah, the TX.
Was it Lexus of Hilton Head, Lexus of Bluffton, wherever you're at. Shout out to him. TX?
Yes.
A TX 500, I think that's what my dad got. Is that a thing?
Yes. 500H.
Yeah. He got it. He fucking loves that. He's about it. He's like it's all blacked out. It's his first blacked out car. He's really excited about it. I forgot where I was going with that. So anyway, the deal breaker. Brakes, that's where I was going with that. First gen Highlander brakes. They're shit. The deal breaker. The fucking wind buffeting. This is so crazy. I cannot believe this vehicle left the factory or the design floor like this. How could it have happened? Like, how could somebody go, let's build the most perfect California beach cruising vehicle possible, but you can't put the windows down.
You really can't. And you are more sensitive to wind buffeting than I am because you drive around with the windows down a lot, and I don't. However, I agree with you completely on this because I was driving in the Canyons, you were driving in the subject car, and I noticed it going, just whether the front windows are down, whether the rear windows are open or not. And I started adjusting the speed from like 27, 29, 34. It just kept getting worse.
Yeah.
And those are the beach cruising speeds. We're not talking about your 70 miles per hour on the highway. This is perfect around town speed. And it is so loud. It just gives you a slow concussion.
It's the worst wind buffeting of any car I've ever driven in the history of driving cars. Mm-hmm. Previous worst offenders included The first gen Volt that was so bad that you could take your car back, which I did, and force them to put fins on the mirror at their cost. And this one was bad because they weren't like plastic glue on shit. Because this was like a TSB at the factory level, they had to take apart the mirror housings, paint the part, and the dealer would do anything to talk you out of it.
Wow.
So the guy tried to talk me out of it because they didn't want to do it. And he tried to be like, your range is going to go down. I went, I don't give a fuck. He goes, you're going to lose like 2-3 miles of electric range. I go, I can't drive this car with the windows down.
Yeah.
I'm going to return the car. Put the fucking, and they did. Range didn't change at all.
They might do that with these because this is a serious problem.
It's horrific.
And of course, by the way, this car is based on the VW 21 window. Open all the windows, drive around, like say hi to the beach, and you can't do that. You are in a greenhouse. You're like in a terrarium, and you are cosplaying as old hippie person.
And actually, considering you're stuck in the terrarium, the climate control isn't that powerful. Like it's fine, but it's not like considering it's glass and there's a lot of space. You have to really crank it. Like if I set it to like 71 auto, it'll be that here. The top of my head will be hot.
Oh, yeah. Even with the electrochromic roof, it obviously is going to heat up a bit. Like I think if I bought one of these, I would do the Johnny Lieberman and get the roof tinted also with a ceramic tint. Yeah, the glass roofs are cool, and obviously it adds to the area atmosphere that I like. It's bright, but over time, it's in LA, it would get really hot. And
you got to have a real pair of fucking balls to get a white steering wheel on a car. That's crazy. If you had this car, you would have to budget, and I shit you not. You can go watch our Taycan video where I now have experience with this because I have a car with a light-colored interior. I would budget easily $1,000 a year on interior cleaning alone in this white interior vehicle. It's going to get gnarshty in there.
I'm sure.
But
there are other interior choices, which I'll pull up, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, our interior photograph's great, but would wear terribly.
Yeah. I would avoid the white. But having said, no, ours doesn't have that.
This is ours.
Ours is that. Yeah, it's white.
Yeah.
Yeah. With like the little orange inserts on the door uppers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, you know how the door armrests seem like not right? Did you know there's also a fold down outboard armrest?
Yeah.
Oh, do you like it?
I mentioned in the car. I was like, this thing has 2 armrests. That's awesome.
I didn't know that's what you meant.
Oh,
I thought you meant it had the inner and then that.
No, because the door one is too high.
Too far, yeah.
Yeah, so this has, each captain's chair has its own armrest on either side.
Yeah, like sort of a Land Rover style armrest.
It's like, it's as if you were meant to swivel the chair around to talk to the passengers when you camp, and it has 2 armrests, which maybe it does.
The steering wheel, it does. I don't think it swivels. No. The steering wheel is a little too high and tilted a little too much away from you. It's actually okay if what you want to do is put your elbows on both armrests and then drive on just the bottom of the steering wheel. It's good at that.
Yeah.
But I really need to be able to get the steering wheel lower and closer to me, and that tilt angle is weird. It's exactly the same as we experienced in like a Tiguan 5 years ago. But this is a lovely, I mean, you look at this picture of the dash, the interior layout, it's a lovely place to spend your time, to go on like a road trip or whatever would be quite good. No problems with the range. Mid-2s.
Yeah, fine.
Mid-2s, fine. I've been charging it at home. I haven't tried to fast charge it, but the wind buffeting, dude, I can't. If you can't drive with the windows down at very low speeds. And can you Google, is there an aftermarket fix? Is there a fix for ID Buzz wind buffeting? Maybe there's like some forums. If there's going to be an aftermarket fix, and it's going to be the same thing it always is, which is just a very simple change to the outboard mirror housings. That's what it always is. Porsche 991s and 992s, horrible wind buffeting. You can get different mirror caps. My Taycan has buffeting, but only at highway speeds. Under like 60, it's fine. And the other problem with the fucking ID Buzz with this, the Taycan has buffeting if you put the window all the way down. Most cars, you only get buffeting. If you put the window down a couple inches, you don't get buffeting, right?
Which window? Front
windows.
Okay.
If you put them down a couple inches, you don't get buffeting. Or if you balance it out with a window on the other side or a rear window, you don't get buffeting. In this car, as you discovered, there's no escape.
So Reddit has a thread going about it. It does not look like there's... Oh, here's Buzzform. I'll look at that too. Someone said that if you close the rear windows like halfway, which I admit I did not experiment with.
You didn't try a halfway?
No, I just went down because it works in most cars.
Yeah.
They say that helps a lot. And then a bunch of people are like, keep the windows closed. It's more efficient anyway. Which is, not a good excuse.
Yeah, shut up.
Why is that?
Yeah, it's one thing if it happened at 70, I would understand. And what's tough about this, and I kind of feel for Volkswagen and other people here, typically, and I'm sure someone, a Tuig or one of these guys, can give us the exact scientific relationship for this, but the more aerodynamically effective a car's shape is, with the windows closed, it seems that also is the more buffeting you get with the windows down. And when I drive cars that are really not aerodynamically efficient, that could be a Jeep Wrangler, that could be the Delica, that could be even like an 80s supercar. 80s supercars are not aerodynamically efficient at all. They just look like it. Those cars are great with the windows down because they're not that aerodynamic. But the more aerodynamic you get, the worse the buffeting gets. So Lucid, all that kind of shit, it's really bad. But it's just so bad in this at low speeds. That's where it drives me nuts.
So there are some companies now selling an aftermarket wind deflector.
Okay. What does it look like? Is it something that would really change the look of the vehicle? Or you just made a face?
Well, it's just a lot of pieces, but,
Where does it go?
I don't know.
Confirm. I can't. Do they? What am I looking at? Where the fuck does this thing go?
Oops.
I don't understand.
I think it's hidden all along. Where'd the fucking buzz go?
Oh my God. Are those like, no. Those are vent guards for smoking in the rain. Yeah. That was how I used to roll in the Mercury Mountaineer. That's not what this is.
That's not what you want. And these look like they're made for like every car. It would go around the window.
Dude, you'd put that on a 92 Accord. That looks terrible.
Yeah, it's
that
on a Civic here.
Yeah, it can't be that. I'll tell you what though, as a smoker in the Northeast, if you know what's up with those, man, when you were rolling like pack a day and it was all weather, you get that 2-inch, 3-inch crack in the window and fucking you're good to go. It's all right.
Here's any other? Do you have a? This one's easier to see, but either way, it is exactly what you said. So this goes around the outside of the window.
I don't think these are. I mean, well, that one does look better. Admittedly, that one goes inside the sort of frame of it, but I don't think they're meant to do that. I think this is meant to do the so you can lower the window and have a cigarette with a couple cracks.
But isn't the science of that the same? Is it sends the rain and stuff around the window?
No, I don't think exactly.
Like, what was the problem with smoking in the car with the windows down without the deflector?
Oh, like water and shit would come in when it was raining.
Because the wind would bring the water into the car?
Well, yes, but also like water would flow off of the windshield and into the car and stuff like that.
Because it would come around it and
you'd crack the window so it didn't dip below the visor. That was the thing. It was literally just the water couldn't make a U-turn and come in.
Got it.
It would not fix buffeting.
Okay.
But I was driving a fucking Mercury Mountaineer. That's basically a refrigerator with wheels.
Sure, but
that wouldn't have buffeted anyway.
But perhaps the water coming around the window was the same as little pieces of string that Dan Gurney used to understand aerodynamics.
No, look at this though. This is just some garbage. This isn't a thing that's designed. Where does it say this fixes buffeting?
It just says wind deflector.
That's not the same thing. That's not. I'm sorry, it's not. Okay, fine.
We'll have to see.
As far as I know, if someone out there knows of an actual fix, it's like a mirror housing or a deflector that's for buffeting, let me know. But like, fuck, that's a deal breaker.
I think that will be developed. I think the car's new, but this is a known problem.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's like a more egregious aerodynamic error than like the Audi TT wing.
Well, that was more egregious because it was dangerous.
This is dangerous too. You blow out your eardrum. You drop the window at 90 miles an hour, you might lose your fucking hearing in this thing.
It's going to vacuum your brain out of your head.
Yeah, and this afternoon I'll test fucking full brake to the floor and see what happens. We didn't do that one yet.
Rear window half down.
Halfway.
Yeah.
They don't go down. They go back.
Or back, whatever
like
they do. Half open.
That wind. Oh, this one doesn't have it, but the one in the photo that you have.
They go.
This has
that I hate. It has the same switch Same window switch as the ID4 had. You don't have an individual rear window switch. You have to tap the capacitive thing that says rear, and you have to notice the light on, and then you use the same switches you use for the front windows for the back windows.
Yeah.
I wish this van is so big.
Wait, and let me also tell you, here's something
function.
that's infuriating, dude. If you put something, if you're sitting in the back seat, and you put something like a water or whatever in the door pocket that's in the sliding doors, that's your door pocket if you're in the middle row. You then open the door, and you want to, the way the door opens, you cannot get anything out of that pocket while the door is open. You can't reach in there. The angle's not possible.
But so I kind of expect that because the door,
other vans you can reach. If you've got something in the wall, and it's open, you can get it.
Because it stays open just enough.
A little bit, and and your water bottle, the cup holder portion of that door pocket is still accessible, and then you can, if you take that out, you can, because it's there, you can reach your hand in for whatever's also there. If you've got a book in there or something, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Right?
I think maybe Volkswagen went, well, we can open the door more for better ingress, egress, and has all this leg room for tall people.
I'm just saying that my coffee cup sat in there for a couple of days because I was like, I didn't want to get in the van, close the door, get the coffee cup, because it's this slow power door, and then get it out. I didn't want to get in the van just to take the coffee cup out. So it sat there until I had to get in the van again.
So you have to use the cup holders on the back of the center console then?
I suppose, yeah. I hadn't at the time considered that, but yes, that's true.
I'm more pissed off about the window switch, but that's because I'm still mad about it from years ago.
There are a series of errors that make this car unnecessarily frustrating to use, but I still respect it because it says something, or it at least makes a valiant effort at trying to say something. From a stylistic perspective, and there is genuine substance there. In terms of minivans, it's probably the nicest minivan I've driven. Straight up, have you driven a nicer minivan?
A nicer one than this? I don't know. It's very nice.
It's very nice.
I think they're all pretty impressive. Top spec ones, even Pacifica and stuff, are pretty impressive. Very comfortable. A lot of tech. A lot of places to plug things in. If the seats are designed well. And this just has an EV powertrain, so it's quieter and smoother and has all of those things, all of those attributes.
But from from that bright, airy design and comfy seats, massaging. Which, by the way, the massage seats are nice, but they use air bladders, which, as they're inflating and deflating, massaging you, it sounds like you're in a room with somebody that's on a fucking ventilator. It's at a certain, I turned off the radio at one point. I'm driving around, and it's electric, so it's otherwise very quiet. Yeah, and I'm like, yo, is there fucking an iron lung? That's exactly what
it's a little different. And remember I think Dodge's AC seats, when you turn it up to level 2, it sounded like a second radiator fan kicked on. And the number of times I was driving a Dodge product and I turn the radio down and go, what's making that noise? And I go, oh my God, it's a seat fan.
Listen, is your ass swampy? I mean really swampy. Like Louisiana swampy ass. Our ventilated seats here at Ram, our seats go up to 12. Listen, you might need a Cummins in the front, but you got a fucking 1500 CFM in the back. You know what I'm saying, brother?
When you're towing your fan boat, you want your own fan. Yeah.
Nobody does it like Porsche, though. They go from blow to suck.
Does Mercedes do that too?
Does Mercedes do suck also? Who else does suck? I don't know.
It's pretty rare.
Let us know if anyone else is sucking out there. But as far as I can personally confirm, Porsche is the superior fart disposal device. Yeah, fucking boop.
I can't wait to clip this.
Yeah. If you're riding in a car with someone and it's winter and they mysteriously turn on the cooled seats,
that's a great point.
I'm just saying, there's something to hide. But you can do heated and cooled seats together. When you can do that.
Okay, you talk about this a lot. Mm-hmm. Why? Why?
It only works if it's a suck, right? Because what it does is it heats, but then it sucks away the humidity. Like if you ever turn on heated seats because you want it for like therapeutic reasons,
right?
Maybe it gets a little humid, a little sticky back there. I'm talking like if it's for a while, like on a road trip or something, right? And if you turn on the cooling, it wicks away the humidity.
Okay.
You don't want to turn them like full crank, but if you do like 2 heat, 1 cool, like that's a pretty nice combination. And after a couple hours, like your back won't be like a little sticky the way that it would have been if you just had the heated seat on like the whole time.
Okay, so you basically want the fan to pull the moisture away.
Yeah,
because we've talked about this for like a
dehumidifier
decade.
at that point.
You've been talking about this for a long time, and I was always like, why does he want to heat his body and cool it at the same fucking time?
You're like, what a fucking glutton that guy is.
Well, yeah, because you're always like, you can have everything. I'm like, but then you end up back at zero.
No, it's not net zero. There is an actual like function. Yeah, and once you try it, you go, oh, that's fucking kind of nice. Yeah, maybe if you're like not fat and constantly self-conscious about being sweaty in public, then you don't care. Maybe then it's not a function you need. But like, I'm going to go ahead and say that a significant percentage of Porsche buyers are fat enough that that's justified.
That makes sense. Yeah,
it's good for me. I'm a big fan. Shout out to my big boys that know what to do with those red and blue buttons.
Well, your back's not sweaty when you
get
out of the car.
You got to integrate them shits.
do you like to wear gray T-shirts? You need this function.
Do you own 9 identical gray T-shirts? Yes. But it made me think if we wanted to consider this, what are some other very successful and very unsuccessful attempts at somewhat cynical automotive nostalgia?
Chevy SSR.
Sure, that's to go back.
You mean? Oh, do you want new examples?
No, I mean not necessarily. I mean there's some like successful ones. The SSR for sure. I think it was the Mustang and Camaro.
No, I think those are
designs.
Successful. Yeah, I think the SSR was like we've gone too far.
Sure.
Personally,
yeah. Actually, like the Prowler, like could have been successful, and I guess in some ways was successful, but like. It's not really looked upon very kindly because of the powertrain, but like I'm not sure that's the fault of the design. They always said they couldn't fit a V8, but like they clearly could have figured out a way to if they really wanted to.
That would have helped a lot. I mean, it's so interesting now that you bring that up that in the last 10 years, the car companies, especially Dodge, have realized if you put the biggest fucking engine you make in something, people will buy it and they'll be excited about it. But with Prowler, they were like, well, people will be happy enough with a V6, and absolutely not.
Yeah, I do think most car companies have figured out to stop making cars that look really outlandish and have puny engines.
Sure.
Actually, that's not true at all. I mean, I guess the BMW i8 was 10 years ago, but that was fairly outlandish looking with a pretty puny engine.
But I also think that hurt that car's sales.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Look at this exotic spaceship car. What's in it? A 3-cylinder with a hybrid system, and everyone's like,
Koenigsegg
next.
tried to. I mean, even Christian couldn't convince people, like, whatever 1,000 horsepower 3-cylinder, whatever he was selling.
Yeah.
He discontinued it according to him because nobody wanted it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
In that market, your customer has all the money.
Yeah.
And you go, well, we have a 3-cylinder or an amazing twin-turbo V8. And like, what are they going to do?
Yeah, no, people with that kind of money, they want an interesting machine to talk about.
Yes, but I think... Yes, it also has to compete with the other options out there that are interesting.
Well, it has to be powerful first and foremost. But now with electrification, powerful is like a joke. Powerful is easy.
No, and I think a 3-cylinder can be interesting in a quirky way.
Sure.
And it's powerful, but at that point you're going, yeah, but my neighbor has a twin-turbo V8 that sounds like that.
Well...
And Christian's cars are not cheap. The problem with that and the i8 are that they were expensive also. If you're going to have a tiny engine... it has to be heavily discounted and pull those people in. But now I'm buying a hypercar.
Yeah.
I don't need a cheaper engine.
That's definitely true. And I think the story went that he offered this 3-cylinder engine and then took a few orders for it, and then sometime later went, we're also going to do a V8, and everybody forward said V8, and like 2 of the 3 who had already ordered it also said, "Can I switch to a V8?" You know.
Okay.
So yeah, at Koenigsegg's level, sure, you just want the biggest thing that they're offering, but it should also be like I think Mate Ramatz. No, it should be technically interesting. So that bringing back the V16, like. Why? Like, fucking why not? It's weird. You know,
Definitely.
like things, it should be like me with the radial engine. Like, why? Like, because it's weird. Like, do you have one? No. You know, like that's exactly why. So
Right, true.
It's gotta be not just powerful, but also interesting for one. I mean, even like, you know, the Hennessy Venom F5, right? Like, yes, it's like you get deep enough in there, it's like a GM architecture such and such, but they've done an awful lot to make that engine something worth, you know, talking about. Not a lot of GM left in there. It's sort of on the level of like early Koenigsegg's were, you know, Ford architecture,
Right.
but like, yeah, kinda, but you know, Ford doesn't make this in 1,300 horsepower.
Yeah, and they don't put it in that car.
Yeah, so like,
Yeah.
all right. So anyway, like, what are other, like, where else did the nostalgia go really bad?
Look up like list of.
I mean, the
cars.
Beetle is a kind of is you know, to an enthusiast, most enthusiasts, Matt Crook exempted. You know, the new Beetle is sort of a joke, even though it was like a wildly successful product.
Why do you see it as a joke? I actually see it as totally successful and probably the reason we have the throwback Mustang design, throwback Camaro. Like, I think that was the first one. And
That and PT Cruiser might have been the same year. Beetle might have been first.
But PT Cruiser, well, I agree, like the language of it is a throwback. It's not specific.
Yeah, it's not one car.
Exactly.
Yeah,
The Beetle was, I mean, people went nuts for it. The commercials were great and they sold really well. And I think that informed car companies, hey, pick your best looking car from the 60s and make a new one and it will sell like crazy.
That's probably true. Yeah. I mean, I just think if you're a classic Beetle person, I don't know a lot of people that are like classic Beetle enthusiasts that are also 90s Beetle enthusiasts.
Ooh, yeah. That'd be cool to talk
I'm sure
to them.
somewhere there's a crossover. But I think you're probably more likely to like an ID Buzz if you're a classic bus enthusiast than you are to like a new Beetle if you're a classic Beetle enthusiast.
What is it that you think the classic Beetle people like that they wouldn't like about the new one?
Air-cooled, rear engine, you know. With Beetles. We're talking about air-cooled rear engine, you know, uniquely innovative, affordable, in a way that, you know, that wasn't being done at the time. It wasn't just a new styling on top of a Volkswagen Golf. Some people might think that. I mean, that's kind of how I think about it. Like, I don't think about the new Beetle very often.
Every day.
Yeah, but
You
like,
ruminate.
but like when it came out and when I was thinking about it, and I think I reviewed one at some point, maybe one of like the turbo ones or something. But like, I don't know. It felt like a fucking Golf that had like, you know, it wasn't. If you drive an original Beetle, it's a very unique thing in the way that driving a 911 is. It's the same kind of thing.
Well, I was going to say, at the time, though, of Old Beetle, there were other things that probably felt like that, but they were based on the Old Beetle, like, you know, a Carmen Ghia, or, a thing.
356.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's, sure.
My mom owned an Old Beetle. I'll ask her when she bought it, was she excited about, you know, the new technology and the idea of it, or was it just like the cool thing to have?
My dad had one too.
Really?
My dad's like first car he shared with his 2 brothers, all of whom my Uncle Scott is 6'2", my Uncle Ron is 6'1", and my dad was 6'5". And the 3 of them shared a Beetle from 1967 to 1971 or 2.
One of the best scenes in Police
They
Academy
went cross country in it.
is when Hightower, they steal a Beetle and Hightower can't fit, and he's like, or we could just take the front seats out and sit in the back.
Yeah.
And then it's like a smash cut, and they did that. And he's like, I was joking, but comfort's important.
Yeah, that's the Shaq move.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or just stretch your 360.
Yeah. But yeah, my dad and his 2 brothers fucking cross America in a Beetle with 3 people over 6
Oh, they
feet.
all drove in it? I thought they shared it like they shared, like I'm driving it Monday, you drive it
they
Tuesday.
did, and then one summer they drove from fucking New Jersey to the Santa Monica Pier in it, And yeah.
Dude, I mean, your dad never sat in the back seat. There's no way.
My dad was the youngest, and he did not have a driver's license. And so he basically sat in the back, and then when they would get out to, like, whatever, the middle of fuck all nowhere in Kansas, you know, from the passenger seat, my Uncle Scott would hold his foot on the throttle, because there's no, like, console. You just reach your foot across, hold his foot on the throttle, hold the steering, and then my Uncle Ron would hop in back, and my dad would hop in front, and just, like, foot on the floorboard, steering wheel straight for, like, 4 hours while the other two would nap. And apparently when they got to the U.S., they had spent when they got to Santa Monica, they spent a month or two here. It was like 2 weeks driving across. They were camping, and they said when they got here, they had spent so much time at full throttle in the car that it had like low compression in the engine. It had to fully be rebuilt, and so the bill was like some crazy amount. And my grandpa came out and saw the bill and was like, fuck that, and left the car and took him on a plane.
It's cheaper to fly back and leave the car. Yeah. Wow. I mean, the front seats must be comfortable for big people because it's like they're designed in Germany. They're tall there. But
look, I've driven Beetles and I would not want to go cross country in one. But I guess like it's different when that's a brand new car. I mean, that they had a Beetle. It was a brand new Beetle.
It was exciting. Yeah. If I was your dad, I would have just lay on the roof. Put me on the roof rack.
That cross-country story is really the only story of his that I have about the Beetle. I haven't asked him about more stories about the Beetle or like why a Beetle. I think it was just that they were cheap.
They were cheap and they were cool though. Yeah. I mean, my mom traded in her Mustang, which I remember as a kid. I was like, "You did what?"
Yeah.
And she traded in a Mustang for a Beetle because it was San Francisco in the '60s.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I'm curious if a lot of the old Beetle owners, they were into it because it was a fashionable, exciting thing. It was friendly. It had this interesting rebranding from where it came from versus my mom probably didn't give a shit that it was air cooled, but she liked that it was a cool thing to have around. And maybe with the new one, it looked good enough.
She might have liked that it was like almost impossible to overheat it. I don't know if she ever had overheated her Mustang or anything like that. Hey, you can't overheat this.
Possible.
Yeah. I should ask my dad about if he knew about any of that shit or cared.
Yes. Yeah, we'll ask our parents and report back.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be very interesting to find that out about Beetles when they were new.
It'd be funny if your dad was thinking about getting the new one, and when he learned it was front engine, he's like, "Fuck that." Now he's an office executive, and he's like, "I was about to rock a yellow new Beetle with the flower holder." But
one of my good family friends has got one. The husband got one for the wife as a birthday gift when they first came out. It was like she was so into it, and it was an early one and had like a lot of problems. The whole thing was like wrecked. But they were fine eventually. This one was like, I got the first one in the state. It was a whole thing, and it turned out to
never do that.
Yeah, you
never
don't
ever.
Not with a new model, no.
Nope.
I suppose whatever it was about the Beetle with my dad, it's possible he didn't choose that. By the way, it's possible.
Sure.
The most likely scenario is Grandpa was like, "Here's your car."
Mm-hmm.
And I fit in it at the dealership. He was 5'6", by the way. My dad's next car was a 72 GTO. So whatever it was about the Beetle, it did not at all.
Didn't stick at all. No. He did not care about the air-cooled rear engine situation. No.
Not even close. Full throttle across the country.
Went full America. He went the other direction entirely.
America on the floorboard. Yeah. I did see a story that Texas is codifying K cars into law. So there isn't going to be any of this weird ambiguity where these other states, you see that weird lobbying group is trying to get rid of K cars for some reason, even though they clearly fall under the import rules that all these other JDM cars are like totally fine. And so Texas, of all places, probably because people realize how practical they are on the farms and shit.
Yeah, maybe. It's also hard to run to another state in those things. It's an uncomfortable drive.
Yeah, they're trying to get that put into law that K cars are totally legit.
That's wild.
Which is good.
Yeah, they're handy things.
Yeah. Do we want to talk to the people? Mm-hmm. We certainly can talk to the people. And while Zach's pulling that up,
do you want to talk about this today or leave it for later?
Oh, we can do that today. I forgot. You want to do it? Do we have enough results? 416 votes. Yeah, okay. We last show or 2 shows ago, whatever, someone suggested that we do polls among the patrons, of course, at patreon.com/the Smoking Tire Podcast, and that we can use that as content. We can see what the people think, and then if enough people a bit of research makes, we can potentially either explore new exclusive opportunities for the patrons. We could potentially explore new revenue streams or talk about any variety of like podcast topics that people find interesting. In this case, it was because I was in a deep depression about the state of YouTube, and I was like, yeah, if we had to pull the plug on making videos because it just was not worth it, like what else could we do? Like what else would be a thing that like people might like to see us do? And I guess my 3 main ideas are pretty good ideas because I put up 4 options on the Patreon poll, and the something else option is only 4% of respondents. So people didn't have anything necessarily better, although maybe someone did. And 51% of our 416 respondent patrons said they'd like to see us do a live podcast tour.
Let's go.
That's pretty good. We're working on that. It's a little easier said than done. But that one is 29% said they'd like to see us put on group road drives or road rallies. Sort of basically what I've been doing for Road and Track, doing it for our audience and our friends of our audience.
But also totally different so that we don't get sued by Hearst.
I don't have a...
I know, I'm joking.
Yeah. I mean, that does seem like fun. I just... I hope, like there's the DWA guys, the Driving While Awesome guys. They put on a great bunch of events that are very affordable. Right. And that's great. Like, because basically the cost of entry to the event is pretty low. But you're responsible for booking your own hotels and for the most part getting your own food, except for I think one big dinner maybe at the end. Isn't that right?
I think so, yeah.
And sometimes it's 2 dinners but 1 dinner. But for the most part, it's a low cost of entry, but also you can then say, okay, they'll go, well, the recommended hotel is here. It's $300 a night. There's an upgrade, up the road that's $500 a night, and you can kind of do what you want. That's a pretty good formula, I think. But the problem is, like, if you're going to have an event that's put together by, like, supposed experts, like, there should be, expert level elements, and, like, the hotels should be pretty good. Like, maybe there should be racetrack time or something, not unlike what I've done with other people. And then it ends up getting, pricey. You stay in nice hotels, like, these Road and Track events, for instance, are like $15,000. To enter with 2 people in 1 car. There's less margin in that than you think. If you really add up everything that gets done, renting a racetrack, which if it's a prestigious racetrack is very expensive, and having a professional team of instructors there on site as well, 3-4 nights in 5-star hotels, dining with its open bar for many hours for a bunch of people and all that kind of stuff. And it does, you could see how it adds up if you look at an itemized list. And so all I'm saying is, like, if we're going to do that, it should be, it's got to be a business that makes sense. It's not a hobby, right? Because,
I think I would go somewhere in the middle,
There probably is somewhere in the middle.
There's a middle ground.
Road and Track, a big part of it, as I just said, is the track. Mm-hmm. And so you could put together a great event that didn't have a track, and it would be probably 50% cheaper.
Or a less expensive track, or not have as many instructors. I haven't been to these events, so I don't know how many instructors there are. Like, that staffing costs a lot of money.
They basically would book, they book out 4 or 5 people from Hooked on Driving to do lead follow and do that.
Yeah, that is good to do.
And you got to have that stuff. You can't just be like, open track day. You end up having a problem.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. So anyway, the 30% of people thought that was a good idea. 16% thought about create travel guides. So we've been talking to someone at a company that is working on a piece of software that could potentially allow us, to create all over the U.S. and potentially even the world guided, tours. We could create a road trip like I would create for a rally, but you could buy the route or buy the travel guide and just do it yourself. And Zach and I would go out and do the trip. We could make a video, we could document it and write an article or column, a travel guide, and come up with, where to stay, where to eat, where to do this, where to do that along the way, and good driving roads. And then, maybe for whatever, $25, $40, you can buy that and download it and use it as a GPS, essentially. So that would be a fun thing that we could do, and that others could potentially use that platform as well to do. Those are the three things I've thought of.
There's also 60 comments, but I don't know if we want to go through all those.
Oh, really? Were there
questions.
any?
I did not look through them, I'll be honest.
All right, well, let's take 30 seconds of this radio to just scroll and see what's there's people creating, just talking about different types of content create. I'm talking about, this would be an abandonment of YouTube. Like Sean has one, a suggestion for a Parts Unknown style show series. Like I would love to make that. Literally nobody wants to pay for that.
And no one would watch it on YouTube, or very few people would watch it. Here's a racetrack that's kind of forgotten. We think it's cool, and there's a subset that likes it, but it would just not have massive appeal.
I'm not trying to single out Sean negatively, because he's describing exactly the thing that I want to make. By the way, did Sean go watch the King of the Hammers video? Because that's what that is, and it's been up for 2 weeks, and it has 12,000 views. Yeah. So, there is no YouTube audience for that type of content. You need a TV network or a streaming network to commit to a season of that, or at least a pilot. We could make a TV pilot. If we were listen, we're going to spend $50,000 to $100,000 of our own money and make a TV pilot. We could do that if we wanted to. I just no. I'd kind of rather park cars and travel for fun.
Yeah.
If someone of means, or if someone of taste, or if someone of taste and means wants to fund such a travel show, I would be happy to do it for a very reasonable rate, because it's exactly the thing I would love to do. But it has to be a thing that makes money.
This is a unique idea.
Well, Sturzer says people might be interested in more in-depth breakdowns of car comparisons. Basically be a car buying consultant that would provide in-depth research and driving impressions. That's a good one, but man, I would feel weird selling that.
Yeah, it would. And there's also a lot of people that offer a lot of really detailed content for free, because they have, Edmunds or any of these companies that have big checkbooks behind them that will buy a car, drive it for a year, Consumer Report style stuff.
Dusty says, don't limit the podcast to automotive guests. Get people from outside that industry. I love that idea, and I love using this platform to talk to random-ass people that I find interesting that have nothing to do with cars. But that isn't what works in podcasting. I would have to be starting a new show about those topics. It just doesn't work.
We could do that. Show called Mad on Everything.
Yeah, we could start a whole other there's... Yeah, I suppose the other option that isn't mentioned is start a podcasting network that has sub-shows about other things, some of which would be hosted by you and I, and some of which could be hosted by other people. And that didn't make the list, but that's something that I wouldn't hate myself doing, I suppose, right? David says, if YouTube doesn't work, why wouldn't car review videos be a good value add to the Patreon? I completely agree. From the perspective of patron, car review videos would be a good value add to the Patreon. The problem is car manufacturers don't want to lend you cars for you to then put the review behind paywalls. It makes it sort of unshareable, you know?
Mm-hmm. We learned this from Drive Paywall 10 years ago.
Yeah. Let's see. Car reviews in audio form. Okay. Well, now that's interesting. I suppose I could go out and drive the car and just talk with one camera. I'm reduce the one take even further.
Sure.
I like this. Let's cheapen it even further, dude. One camera, straight vlog, zero anything. Podcast, second channel.
It'd be an interesting experiment because Spotify is adding video to a lot of different shows, so you could have the in-car video component.
That would be very weird and very interesting. But it's the kind of thing I haven't heard of before, and so it might be the kind of thing that you didn't know you needed it until it existed.
Mm-hmm.
That's
either no one needs it
Yorick
or
Brom. Yorick Brom. That's a good one. That's okay. That one makes you think. Okay. That's okay. I like hearing reasons I shouldn't buy expensive cars I can't afford anyway. You know about the algorithm. Shitting on cars. Yes, shitting on cars. Try the live tour with combine the live tour with some drives in the region or a hosted Cars and Coffee. Sure, Ryan's, that's a pretty good idea. There could be something like that. There could be a whole weekend where you have a curated couple of days driving that culminates in a podcast, and you could get tickets to one or both. You know, maybe you'd get VIP. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I like that one. Ryan Morris, combine it maybe.
Because then the drive is a lower lift than planning a whole trip with hotels and things. It's like, hey, we're going to go out here in the morning and do this route.
Having said that, it does add another wrinkle because, like, you know, if we're traveling somewhere to do a live podcast, we'd probably rent like a minivan, and we'd have to find a sports car. But okay, I like the thought though. Good question. Also wants in-depth audio car reviews. Oh, interesting. Okay, maybe there's something to that. Okay.
I bet we're going back to the live show with driving events. If there's any kind of tuning company in that area, we could just borrow a car from them.
No. Like, cars are around. We could find a car. It's just it does add a thing. Wait, Ryan West says, can I do car reviews just for Pro Driver? I think we've already answered that. Car meets, okay. All right, well, those are great comments. We don't have to go through more. I think we got a good spread. There's some real, you guys they're all very thoughtful ideas. Some of them are really just suggesting new types of content to create, but there were some good helpful ones in there that I think are definitely worth noodling. And for the record, we're not like giving up videos, but like it's not getting like better. So podcast is okay. You guys are great. Patrons are the best. I mean, truly, the Patreon is what is the Patreon is really what is making the podcast worth doing. It's not worth doing on ads alone. Maybe eventually we don't have to do ads if it's just Patreon. That would be great. It could be like university, where 20% of the people pay full price and everyone else gets scholarship. That's how Patreon could be. Like 20% of the people contribute to Patreon and everyone else gets to enjoy it for free. Like, that would be a nice thing. It won't happen because people in America are like, I'm paying. Why? No, you shouldn't get this because I pay, but it's okay.
So far, Patreons, they're happy to get their ad-free shit, and they don't complain that other people get to listen to it. So,
dude, there's no better value than getting ad-free from a creator you like for a couple of dollars a month. Mm-hmm. I mean, especially if you consume, what is it, 25 hours of content a month from that person. You're paying like $1 an hour or something. Okay. But we have other Patreon questions. So patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast, of course, is where you get ad-free. It's where you get extra Smoking Tire. It's where you get early Smoking Tire. It's where you get live Smoking Tire. You must be a Patreon member to get the final 2 versions of the Notice Canyon. I'm wearing the green today, coming out at the end of this month, et cetera, et cetera. We love you guys. Paint by Numbers says, there's a consensus among enthusiasts and journalists let me just emphasize that I haven't read the rest of this, but with the first sentence, this is someone else is saying there's a consensus. Let's see if I agree with that. That the automated manuals and single clutch transmissions of the late 90s and early 2000s are bad. Okay, yes, I agree with that. They are bad, yes. And people who defend them are wrong. What was the reception for this technology at the time? They were extremely popular. Almost no one ordered 599s with the available manual. And did these autos perform terribly compared to the later DCTs, or were they seen as compromised when they were new? I, and someone you may have heard of named Jeremy Clarkson, thought they were terrible when they were new. Go watch old Top Gear from like 05 to 07. He is complaining all the time about how terrible single clutch automated manual gearboxes were. All the fucking time. The Vanquish sucked when it was new. All the Ferraris sucked when they were new.
Yeah.
All of them.
They're just slow.
Everybody was so fucking apologetic about them. Oh no, they're great when you're flat. Which was true. They were better.
They were better, but I mean, I drove that E46 from Volt.
Garbage.
Vorsteiner.
Yeah.
Like, amazing,
beautiful
expensive
car.
build, etc. But like the SMG with the CSL programming, I don't care who programmed it. It's not impressive.
They tried to tell me that bullshit about the CLK too. Oh, you got to tune it. Nah,
no,
don't do shit.
It is not. It did not feel faster than me shifting a manual transmission.
It is hardware limited.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they were trash when they were new, and they had lots of apologists. Yeah. So, did you? I guess you said that we drove the BGB car, right? Mm-hmm. Is that okay? Cool. I think we'll probably talk about BGB next show.
Sure.
I'm going to Italy, and Zach is going to race Lemons. And so, because we're both gone, we have to get a little bit ahead. And all BGB Cayman questions will be deferred to next show, where we will do a full discussion on a fucking batshit car that we drove yesterday. But thank you for anyone who wrote questions about that in advance. Hoopty157. Oh, went to see Fast and Furious musical in Brooklyn, and it was great. If you're not following them on Instagram, you should. They're putting dates. They're doing more shows. Mm-hmm. If you absolutely must go see the Fast and Furious musical. It's fucking hilarious. Those guys are so funny.
It's so good.
And all the actors are so good.
Yeah.
All of the men in the thing are played by women, which is really, really funny.
Kyle Kinane's new stand-up special, which I highly recommend. It is smart and hilarious.
Oh, wait. Is he Tube Man? Who's Kyle Kinane? Which one is he in the play?
No. Sorry, he's not in the play.
Oh,
but
sorry.
Just coincidentally, Kyle Kinane, who's one of my favorite comedians, he's like Patton Oswalt with a little bit more coffee and a beard. He does 20 minutes on the ridiculousness of Fast and Furious, and I'm like, I have to find out how to get him to see this fucking play.
Okay,
it's so good.
Someone knows him. Get at him. And number 2, reading about the RAM charger and how the engine just charges the battery and is not connected to the drivetrain, essentially a V6 generator. There seems to be a ton of use cases for this, like powering, etc., 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 many things. Thoughts on the truck in the future? I mean, I've been pro this. I was a Chevy had the goddamn Volt. They were there. And they fucked it up. This was the thing. They had it. Mm-hmm. Yes.
The MI3, it's a range extender. It's just a powerful one. Sure.
Yeah, I'm pro that. Yes.
Yes.
AMG Whiz, best and worst car chimes / bongs. I saw bongs in the question. I was like, best bongs? I was like, yo, Illadelph is what's up, but I like a roar. I used to have a Zong.
Yeah, I remember
the Zong.
Yeah.
Did you never? No, I never. You never saw it.
Sure, I did.
No.
The Zong. I remember the name very well. So
the 3-foot Zong. That was college. You never. No. I never knew you when I had the 3-foot.
That's true.
I called it the saxophone.
Okay.
Like from The Simpsons.
Oh, who says that?
Saxophone.
Is that Homer?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, and the guy I used to buy mad weed with from Philly became a glassblower and started a company called Illadelph, which is now one of the biggest bong companies in the world. Shout out to him. Used to hook up fucking LBs. Know what I'm saying?
I remember you had this like the tank Zong thing. I think it was like the squiggly one.
The tank Zong.
Oh man, there's a lot of glass.
There's a lot of zongs. There's a lot of zongs. The best bong ever, though, is easily, hands down, the Hurricane. There's never been anything like it. It was made by a company called the Republic of Bongland, and it was made of boron glass. And it had these little holes cut in the side of it that would swirl the smoke, like, and it would look like a fucking hurricane inside there. And it was the most pure, beautiful fucking bong hit you've ever taken in your life. And because it was made of this boron glass, which they would brag was the same as the canopy of fighter planes. When you go to buy one in a store, the demo would be they would huck it across the room. Like,
oh, it's indestructible.
And it would go like the ding, 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 ding. And it survived like my entire second half of college. I then sold it to the literal clumsiest person that I know. And it survived with him for about 2 years before he dropped it down a concrete flight of stairs, which is where it finally met its end.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's wild is...
Can you even buy a Hurricane anymore? You can?
I found it. Well, it says sold out, 289 pounds. I also found a website.
Wow, they're cheap. Really?
Well,
they were like 800
in Germany that says it's made in Germany.
Yeah, they are.
In Germany, it's 489 euros.
That's probably the real. There's knockoffs. There's a bunch of knockoffs, including ones that are not made of the boron glass. But you need that real. Germans.
This is so funny.
Almost all good recent weed innovations have come from the Germans.
This is like the least German ad.
This is it. Oh, that's it. Same photo 20 years later. So they come in milliliters. Yeah, that's the 750. Bro, fucking ain't nothing like a Hurricane.
That's funny.
They are awesome. If you, like, I'm telling you, if you must have the most superior smoking, because there's also those Illadelphs have the ones that have the gel in them.
Oh, right.
Where you put it in the shit, right? You put it in your fridge and your freezer and it freezes it. That seems great in theory. I got one for Jillian.
We were sponsored by a company that did that.
Right. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, these are so cool. Let me get one for Jillian because she's the biggest fucking stoner I know. And she goes, Matt, I used it and now my freezer smells like bong water. And I was like, oh, that's a good call. You just separate freezer for this fucking thing.
It gets very expensive very quickly.
Yeah.
So that's our favorite automotive bings and bongs.
That's my favorite automotive bong. Yeah. Yep, we'll just move on from there. Matt's Alcantara steering wheel says, stories of outrageous business travel expenses. I mean, I certainly am not going to cop to fucking anything. I mean, Zach and I once reviewed a yacht in Thailand. We went there for a week. We did a full review. The video's on YouTube. It did well.
But the boat was less expensive. So that was like a business expense, but it was all of us. So it was like a seminar.
I mean, we had to test the boat to film the boat, didn't we?
Yeah.
That's a business expense. It is.
I think I will say some of the most ridiculous business expenses, and
don't say prostitutes.
No. Okay. I'm not going to talk about that. I don't. Someone asked about that, but
that was never business expenses.
No.
Absolutely
No. You and Harris would both go on drive shoots, and you would arrive. Harris would famously arrive with no clothing. He did this all the time. And then he would be like, JF, I have to go buy this $700 jacket. And we're like, why? And he's like, it's very cold. And he did it to kind of fuck with us, but he would go buy some expensive sweater thing.
That's really
And then
funny.
You would be like, well, I want a fucking sweater too.
Yeah.
And you'd both come out of this store.
Oh, so you can't play favorites.
And Papa JF, yeah, exactly. You were the two sons, and Daddy JF would just shake his head and be like, let's go film this goddamn stand.
Listen, we were getting robbed blind by that fucking place. If I need an Icelandic fucking Viking sweater, in Iceland, Chris Harris bought so much stuff at 66 North that he had to buy a 66 North suitcase for it. He went on a tear. I don't think the company paid for all that.
I don't think they did.
But he went on a real tear in that place. But nobody knows fucking cold weather gear like an Icelandic person.
Sure.
That's the best shit I ever wore in my life for cold weather. No, but let's see. Like, have I ever I've never really abused an expense report. I mean, because we go on like these press launches, it's all kind of covered. The road and track trips, they're all covered. I don't have to. I don't have to do anything. It's all kind of already covered. Yeah, no, and I haven't. When was the last time I really filed an expense report to somebody that was like of consequence?
I don't think
in a long time.
I mean, our company is too small for that to get away. Like this person said that someone at their company used to rent premium cars instead of normal ones, and like they were going to get fired. I feel like we need to work at a bigger company where people have access to like platinum cards, and they're like strip club, sure, like $2,000, we just count it as lunch. Like those things happen, just not to us.
Sure. Well, yeah, I've definitely had other people take me to nice places and do nice things that their business paid for sure. But it wasn't me doing that shit. I have absolutely no idea what anybody was doing with their own credit card bill. Max says, what's holding me personally back from getting an R34 GT-R from Top Rank? 150 to 250,000 current asking price will look like a bargain in 5 to 10 years. I mean, you're not wrong. And one day I'd like to have another Skyline eventually, but it's not today. That's a lot of money, and I don't know if you know this, but I have a half-finished Lamborghini.
Yeah, and also the tariff situation is affecting R34 prices. Maybe that's changed because it changes quickly.
Yeah,
so
I mean, it's they're so great, and like maybe one day, but like I think. When it comes, I with both cars and watches and maybe other things too, I think I know how much stuff is enough before it becomes like problematic, and I'm really there with both cars and watches. Like I just remembered like 2 days ago that I have an NSX. I totally had forgotten for like I don't know a week or two, just not thinking about it and like
too many cars. You have to registration, insurance. You have to keep track of all these things.
Yeah.
Keep on even with your business, you have to pay attention.
Yeah.
So
it's those are fabulous. And anyone who goes, I'd like to get one. Yeah, the cheapest day to get one was yesterday, and then the day before that. Like they're not going to be cheaper, and they are great. But
excellent name, by the way, Max von Strap-on.
Did I didn't pronounce it right? Did it?
You just said Max.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And in first place, Max von Strappen.
I didn't do him justice. Sorry. Ooh. Misfit Cyclone wants us to vote for their Golf R vanity plate options. Option number 1, maybe we should put this for a poll for next week. Option number 1, Baby RS6. Cute, but not
accurate enough.
You take that motherfucker to HPA and you make it like 700 horsepower, then you get that plate.
Yeah. That's true. Still, it's a 4-cylinder turbocharged. It's not. I don't know. It's a little bit too different from
Porsche, spelled POORSCH.
No,
that's a 924 license plate.
Correct.
That's not a Volkswagen license.
Or maybe
plate.
a first-gen Cayman base.
996. Yeah. Cheap S3. That's pretty good and factually accurate. Same platform, same powertrain. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Rated R. RATED. If that's not already taken, you have to get it just to have it.
It's the funniest one.
And you can keep that and put it on almost any sports car you get for the rest of the time. You put that on a McLaren, you don't have to explain to anybody what it means.
That's true. It just applies to all kinds of stuff.
Put it on you put that on anything. That's a universally awesome plate.
You get a GT-R, it works for that.
Yeah. I vote full-throatedly for rated R. Yeah?
Yes.
Tunehound says, are you ever surprised how quickly cars disappear from our roads? Saw a second-gen Eclipse parked next to a fourth-gen Eclipse the other day, and it blew my mind. Haven't seen either in the wild forever. Yeah, cars that are just cars, just kind of used up and thrown away. Zach and I were in roughly the same location up in the Angeles Forest past 2 days. And there's a guy who must work up at either Mount Wilson or one of the places up at the service centers.
Oh, I know
because there's a guy with an absolutely flawless Chevy Metro base, Steely's white. Fucking, this was like on the prices. This would be on the Price is Right. You know, comes with standard features, including
windows,
California emissions,
radio, steering wheel.
Yeah, I hadn't seen one of them in forever. We saw that yesterday. We went to go see that place, that absolutely mint late 90s Cadillac extended wheelbase that we were looking at for a minute.
Long rear door.
When was the last time you saw one of them fucking things? Yeah. I mean, I am surprised it's always nice when you see one that's been kept, and you have to wonder, like, especially when it's a kind of an average car. You're like, why this?
Yeah.
You kept
Second gen Eclipses, the fast ones were driven so hard for 18 owners and eventually blew up.
Just fall
crank
apart,
walk problems, etc. And then the base ones were just cars, so eventually they just melt in the sun. I mean, coupes are less popular, so why get a coupe that's 30 years old?
Yeah. Slow Car Slowed missed the other color besides green. It's Tahitian black mother of pearl. It's a natural material, and everyone will be very slightly different because it's a natural material, but it's fucking sick watch. Food Manchu, that's pretty good.
That is.
Requests a Pacific Northwest R&T driving event, Cascade and Olympic Mountains. Every meeting, bro. Every meeting, I request this. The pushback, there's a couple bits of pushback. One, potential for weather, even in the summer, is always real. And two, they've found, this one, once I say it, will be not that surprising. The further you go to the edges of the country, the fewer people who can come, because a lot of people want to drive there. So like Colorado, Smoky, Texas, those are the most popular ones. They fill up the fastest because people can drive from like a lot of places, and it seems like less daunting to get there from wherever than, full transcontinental.
Yeah.
Although we can do shipping now. But every meeting I bring up Pacific Northwest, and every meeting I will continue to bring up Pacific Northwest, and eventually they will fucking hear me out. Eventually. It would be the best. Okay, wait.
How do we...
what did that say? Zach's
help this
RFK
person
impression.
put whimsy on their 87 Mazda B2200.
Dude, I mean, is Sarah's Instagram... our friend Sarah, stunt driver Sarah, bought Trims 440 on Instagram. Pull that up. She bought this beater-ass Toyota 80s truck. Okay? And she did a few things to it that make it that make it sort of whimsical. I think it's MMS. Oh no, you're right. Sorry. So somewhere in her Instagram will be photos of that truck, and there it is. So, that's like an animated rendering of it. There's the actual truck. So this started out as just a yellow ass truck. So she had the wheels painted white. She put the white light bar on it with the 80s things. And then she had just the top painted with that sort of rainbow bit.
It's rad.
Which is super rad.
Now the cab is blue, the hood is blue, but then it's got these scallop stripes, I guess they are.
Yeah, with a gradient sort of thing that goes from blue through red and orange to yellow. And then the interior's got this sort of Mexican blanket kind of somewhere between a houndstooth. Well, keep going. I bet there's a picture of it somewhere. I thought is it houndstooth in orange or is it a Mexican blankety? Either way, there it is. It's the bottom right. It looks amazing. Look at this. It's rainbow. That's houndstooth. Awesome. Sorry, I was off. It matches the outside. How do you put whimsy in a shit pile old truck? That. And Sarah earns a good living, and so she had a body shop and a professional do this. But like, you could do this on the cheap, or something like this on the cheap, if you were so inclined.
Yeah.
So that's how you add whimsy to a cheap car. Angle of the dangle. If you could add the Ferrari 575 Super America roof to another car, what would it be? Funny thing about it is, the Super America roof it does this thing where it flips back. I mean, if you mean the electrochromic roof, because it's electrochromic and it does this flippy thing.
I think they mean the flip.
The flip?
Yeah.
The flip isn't like good.
No.
Like regular retractable hardtops, like on McLarens and stuff, are just better than that.
Yeah. And the flip dictates the design of the rear deck because it has to be big enough for the whole roof.
Yeah.
Which I also don't like.
Yeah. Kentucky Fried Chicane, not bad. Thoughts on the Weinie 500 this Friday? They're apparently racing Wienermobiles at Indy, but they're not really racing them.
It's an ad. It's a marketing move. Yeah. I looked it up. The drivers are just the Wienermobile drivers. They're not pros.
Yeah.
They're not going to go for it. Here's what I bet you'll see, and I'll bet $20. You're going to see one's in the lead at first because they're named Chicago, New York, So they're all going to lead at a certain point. And
it's
then
the mascot race.
Whichever one is most close to Indy will probably win. Yeah, it's the mascot race, and that's what it'll be.
It's trying to mimic what like the Porsche tractor race was at Makar Week. Like a silly, memey type of thing. But at the Porsche tractor race, it was slow as fuck, but it was a race.
Well, because all individual people, like Pat Long drove someone else's tractor. Sure, they'd want to win.
Yeah, it was like people racing tractors. Yeah. It's not like Oscar Mayer racing its own fleet of vehicles against itself.
This is a spec series, basically.
Yeah. Koji, last time you went to Japan and any interest in doing anything there again in the future? Second part first. Yes, always.
Go ahead. Oh, interested? Yeah.
Yeah,
There's an event in October we should talk about after the show.
What's that?
K-Car Rally that
really?
we've been invited to. Yeah.
In Japan?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Maybe. That could be interesting. I think 2015 or 16 I was there. It was not long enough. It was very fun, and I would love to go back. It's just very expensive. I can't justify. Like, I would love to go to Japan spending my own money, but if I'm going to spend my own money, I'm not doing work. Like, that's how it works. That's how work works. Like, I'm not going to Japan to make films on my own dime. If someone wants me to do that and will pay for it, like, I would absolutely love to. Conversely, I'd love to go on vacation and eat fucking ramen and, like, chill and explore and not tell anybody what I'm doing. Bush did 997. Favorite example of an American motor in a European chassis?
Ford Modular in the V12.
Oh, Aston
Martin.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that'll be my loophole.
Maybe a little bit of a loophole there. Maybe a bit of a stretch.
I mean, they said motor. I'm saying motors because they're put together.
I'll go with the original Pantera. No bumpers, early car, 351, Cleveland.
Still want one.
Still good. Bold, bearded, and beautiful. Good one. Okay, what are some of my favorite exciting watches and or watch dials? The meteorite stuff's kind of fun. I like a bright color. I really like I love a vivid color. They don't need to be busy. I don't really like date cyclopses, the magnifier thing. I like a dial that's like that you can read. It's got bright lume. I mean, in terms of what's being produced right now, I think if I was to go out and blow money today, I'd be blowing money on a white dial Speedmaster. That's really good. MB&F just came out with a new watch. It's like $300,000, but it's fucking incredible because MB&F is always incredible. Yeah. Enrico Palazzo wants to buy a used watch off eBay. I mentioned that it was no big deal. Yeah, I mean, eBay has this authentication thing. It's obviously not 100% perfect, but it is a pretty good system where they do physically receive the watch and authenticate it. I've read a few stories on the internet of fakes getting through that system, but I think by and large, it's a pretty good system. And if you're talking about Speedmasters, for better or worse, there's not really a lot of people faking Speedmasters. They're not valuable enough. People are faking Rolexes that cost $10,000 and up, Pateks, APs, $50,000 watches. If you go to the Reddit forums about the fakes, they're really, really good. They are really good. Some of them are amazing, but not a lot of Speedmaster fakes. Rich in New York, wants a chronograph. Is a lefty and wants a chronograph and wants a left-handed chronograph. I'm not sure I've ever seen a left-handed chronograph, but I mean, I've never had a problem operating a chronograph on my right wrist. So, like, it's one thing, like, the right wrist, left wrist, like, people who want to set the time on their watch without taking it off your wrist, okay. I usually set the time and then put it on my wrist. Same. So that's never, like, bothered me. And with chronographs, like, if I'm using one, my thumb and forefinger, like, are perfectly fine doing this on my right wrist. So I don't know. I've never even... Have I seen any left-handed chronographs ever? Not that I could think of, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. Let's see. 2 more. The Delco Pooper. I need summer tires. What do you recommend? It's an Audi S4 in Pennsylvania.
Oh.
Pilot Sport 4S will do you just
fantastic.
Fine. Yeah. All around. If it rains, you're in good shape.
Yep. And
you'll even be okay in the winter right up until it snows.
Yep.
JF's last one. JF's transverse skid mark. Y'all don't have to name companies, but what's the craziest thing an automaker has tried to gift you during a press event? iPad when it was new, like literally when the iPad was new. Yeah.
Someone tried to give me a expensive down jacket, and it was like, I can't get too specific because it will turn into like, there was only one company that did this, but it was like in the seat. And I was like, I don't think I'm allowed to accept this. And
in the seat of what?
Of
a car?
It's like a one-off thing. And I'll tell you afterwards. But and I texted my editor. I went, this is like the first time I'd ever driven such a thing. I was like, is this normal? And they're like, you definitely shouldn't take that. I'm like, yeah, okay. And I just gave it back to them.
We took jackets from the Bridgestone Winter Driving School.
We did, but I would add that in that instance, it was 6 degrees out. It was unseasonably cold, even for Steamboat, Colorado. And the Bridgestone people were like, we had these made really quickly because we didn't realize it was going to be 6 degrees, and we would have been in trouble.
But I did take it home.
That's true.
I did.
I gave it to
somebody. Most things of value I give away or don't take. But like, if you give me an article of clothing that has a logo on it and it fits well, I'm probably going to keep it. I turned down a helmet from Acura, a Stilo helmet.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah, at NSX. Yeah, that was a lot.
That's a weird, because I've done the same thing in both directions, and so like iPad, maybe at the time
iPad
it felt
really
more
seemed
glaring.
like a lot. That was
also early iPad days when they were like.
No, it was when the iPad first came out.
Yeah,
yeah,
so it was
yeah,
like a brand new $900 thing.
Yeah, I brought it back. I thought because they sent the press kit on it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's novel. Digital press kit. That was like a new thing. Yeah. And I was like, here you go. That was cool. They're like, no. And I was like, no. No, I'm not keeping that. Okay. We are going to save the rest of you for the next program. Thank you all for listening. Particular thank you to our patrons. A particular thank you to our patrons with good usernames. Consider that, people. You will be favorited by the effectiveness of your username.
Marketing.
For sure. We'll be back with another show tomorrow.
I think so.
Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. See you then. Bye.